That with these statistics, only about 20% of female representatives can be found in ICT sector in Georgia. Girls do not choose IT as their future career path in our country. We have more or less the same picture across the world. Women-led startups receive just 2.3 venture capital funding, which means women are not only underrepresented in STEM industries, we're also an underrepresented group of entrepreneurs. The world is not on track to achieve UN Sustainable Development Goal 4 and 5 to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and gender equality throughout different industries. Digital literacy is an additional barrier to adoption by certain communities, both in developed and in developing countries and markets. Even though we all know that encouraging women in ICT sector will boost economies, there is a big gender gap of qualified female candidates on a job market. To address these issues, together with support of UN Women Organization, BTU has launched a coding school for women, serving hundreds of beneficiaries across the country's different regions, teaching front-end and back-end development, UX and UI design, and other courses. We are proud to become partners of Women in Tech Global Movement in Georgia, and within this partnership, we hope to support women transfer in tech industries, empowering their career path in STEM fields.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We all know that despite decades of progress towards workplace equality, women remain underrepresented in the technology workforce. These figures speak for themselves. According to Eurostat, just 70% of the people working in STEM are women across Europe, and only 5% of them are in leadership positions in ICT industry. The need for skilled employees is more obvious than ever. However, the technology industry continues to restrict themselves with the boys' club image. It is apparent that we must add more women to the technology sector if we want them to play an integral role in the ecosystem, empower them, and ultimately strengthen the industry as a whole. The goal of the chapter and all of the stakeholders represented today is to increase the number of women educated in tech, especially women who are underrepresented and represent minorities, to conquer gender bias with regards to the ICT as a profession, to increase employment among girls with highly paid jobs, and to integrate that IT girl community of Georgia with international peers. On behalf of Women Tech Georgia, today we'll be presenting with you a video which aims to portray current situation in Georgia with regards to the ICT and digital skills, especially among women, and also share with you some of the success that we have achieved with our partners, including Business Technology University, UN Women Georgia, Parliament of Georgia, Orient Logic, Women for Tomorrow, and Wonderful Girls who already play a significant role in ICT community of Georgia. Please enjoy the video.
When we talk about digital technologies, I think we all realize now that now we live in the era when digital technology have become integral part of our lives, like everybody's life. Over 90% of jobs worldwide already have a digital component, and many jobs will soon require not just basic, but advanced digital skills. The role of technologies during the last few years, of course, has been quite important, but from the very beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, we saw that digital technology has become a critical tool just to survive the crisis and, of course, then to deal with its results. So basically now a lot of experts now say that we're going through this digital revolution, and the COVID has accelerated this part. But when we speak about digital technologies and their vitality in the future, we should not forget that women, who represent over the half of the world's population, have limited access to it. I can name the study of ITU and UN Women, which was recently conducted, so was finalized this year. And it found that the number of women working in ICT industries, founding or investing in technology startups, or serving as a high-level managers or directors in technology companies remain remarkably low. This study has outlined some challenges, and the challenges range from cultural norms and biases to lack of self-confidence to online and offline harassment, which is very important and hinder girls and women, of course, from full participation in ICT field. But the statistics are very interesting. Currently, only 17% of almost 8 million ICT specialists in Europe are women. So we talk about only 17%. And if we look at the demand side, while the average growth forecast for all other occupations is 3%, the demand for STEM professionals is expected to grow by 8%. So we see that the demand is quite high. And if we look at Georgia, just 12% of women in Georgia are employed in science, technology, and engineer fields. So we see that women's participation in Georgia is quite low in technologies. But of course, participation of women in technologies is not only important because it's fair, but because it's very important for a country's economy. We know that Georgia has a very small economy, and it is essential for us to keep up with the changing labor market. And this labor market is really changing very rapidly. We need to adapt the workforce to these changes, and we also need to make sure that women are not left behind, and this is really critical. One thing which we see in practice, and our experience at UN Women has shown this to us, is that without special and targeted interventions, women's limited participation in STEM and ICT will, of course, remain so, and it will not accelerate. So we need this special interventions. Some of the barriers which are hindering women, some of other barriers which are hindering women from entering STEM fields is basically this label that is, these are non-traditional women, and these barriers need to be broken down. We should change the mindsets. We should improve teachers' training. Of course, we need internships, training, role models, mentors, and we should provide girls with this. And one study, which I already mentioned, also found that harmful stereotypes and lack of digital self-confidence on the part of the women are one of the greatest barriers to gender equality in ICT sector. And this causes this slow pace of growing number of women in this field. But of course, there are a lot of problems, but there are solutions, and we see these solutions, and these solutions can accelerate, of course, participation of women in ICT. First of all, one of the solutions, which I also mentioned partially, is that studies show that targeted financial and digital literacy programs are important. So we should make sure that women enjoy affordable access to internet. This is absolutely an important component. They should have access to internet, mobile products and services. And but this should go hand in hand with national financial and digital literacy programs, because this is part of one whole. These are different parts of one whole each subject. And secondly, the studies also show that the knowledge of English language is very important. Lack of competence in English, which is considered to be the language of ICT, was noted as a barrier among women. For example, Georgian women, we know that in several cases have less time and also money to learn English, and it becomes difficult for them to access international training programs. So having local programs in Georgian language and also providing English training and learning for women is very important to make sure that they have sound access to ICT jobs and skills. And I can also say that I fully agree with, I was reading the government of UK was stating that digital literacy should be the fourth pillar of education, and it should be learned alongside reading, writing, and arithmetic. I fully share this, and as UN Women, we're planning to bring in this ICT component in all future interventions which are aimed at women's economic empowerment, because we truly believe that without these skills, real economic empowerment and real access to jobs will be highly paid jobs will be very, very difficult. So we hope that we will be able to contribute to filling in this gap.
So why we talk about the female involvement in technology and what's the femtech? When we talk about the female participation in global economy, it is very useful to highlight that women, naturally, we are bringing the new lives and we are the kind of a psychotype of females are moms, and also it's a caring, finding the positive solutions. In negotiations, we also see how the female participation and involvement is bringing the best result. When we are having the both participants, especially in technology, men and women, we have always a better result. When we are talking about female, we see that from the gender perspective, we all know that we are kind of on a similar phase, right? But when we are talking about the psychotypes, females are very much detailed oriented and very much oriented on having the best solution and positive result. These types and psychotypes are very useful in technology field, especially in programming languages. When we talk, we see that when females are also developers, they are finding also in a faster and a prompter way the solutions. So we always are saying that when female and male participants are both together involved in any sector, and especially in technology, we'll have way better and efficient results. We also know some of the statistics that unfortunately females are not well presented on boards, especially in technology companies. And when there was the assessment done in California, when the female participation was increased in board membership, the companies were increasing their turnover and attracting the investment in a faster way, and also they increased the value. On the other side, when we talk about the femtech, what is the femtech? Femtech is the solutions and inventions which are specifically for daily use, especially at homes. Well, we know that, like, for instance, iron or the washing machine was invented by the females. And these types of solutions, technology solutions, which is already a daily part of our lives, have been invented by females, those who were not working but were at home, and because of having the smarter and finding the shortcuts or finding the best solutions, they invented these technologies, and the startups also are now, when we are looking at it, startups are now also increasing their participation in femtechs, in female technologies. If we look at the Crunchbase database, the number of the femtech solutions are rapidly increasing, especially in health direction, because the female-related activities, which is related to fertility, pregnancy, and so on and so forth, we see that the startups and also the applications are being way better developed and are increasing. So just to sum up on that part, we see that femtech is increasingly developing, and also more than $600 billion was invested in this direction, according to the Crunchbase. This shows us that females have to be more and more involved in this direction. Now let's look at the Georgia, what we are having in Georgia and what we have to do in order to further promote female participation in technology and innovation sector. When I remember when we started with the innovation policy development, there was very few participation of female in technology field. But because of the incentives, also the programs which were developed, we saw that up to 30% female participation, especially founder female startups, were increased. What has done and why this number was so increased? This is because of the specifically dedicated instruments and opportunities. Females have to get the kind of similar opportunities, and there has to be the opportunities for them to further present themselves and understand their abilities as well. So in current status, being in Parliament and being part of the Gender Council, I'm very happy that I'm part of the process of further developing female rights, and especially their economic activities. When we're talking about the female participation in economy, wider economy, usually when these type of events are being organized, we see only females who are talking about their challenges and the ways they have to solve it. But we see few men who are part of this process. Therefore, in Gender Council, we said that we need more men to voice our challenges and voice the opportunities which have to be similar to both men and women. So therefore, one thing and one of the solution is that men should be more and more involved in this process, and they have to also support this process, come up with the new solutions, and raise awareness to men. Because when we're talking about the gender and female rights, it's not about decreasing the rights of men. It's giving the similar opportunities for both representatives. Another thing is, if we also look at Michelle Obama's book and her kind of motto, it's also the motto is to let's move, and let's move together. We have to bring together community leaders, educators, medical professionals, parents, celebrities, and others in a nationwide effort to address the challenge of females addressing. So one thing is we have to move forward with the new initiatives, and we have to involve the community representatives. Another one is the joining forces. We have to join the force which has to be kind of joining the effort, so each of them are able to bring their values and raise awareness. So we have to join the efforts in order to further promote the female participation. We have to also care and share the best practices, especially when females are looking at the best practices, they feel way motivated. So we have to have the motivators who are raising the trust of themselves, of young leaders and young representatives. And therefore, it is very useful to have the motivators and leaders who are encouraging others as well. Another thing is learning by doing. And learning by doing is when we are involving the females and raising awareness that they are also able to be part of the technology processes. So me, myself, I was a young IT developer, and when studying in university, I was one of the few representatives who were sitting in the class and studying the programming languages. By that time, it was kind of a cliche that women are men's brains are different, so mathematics is for men, and so on and so forth. But when we have the participant and some of the female leaders who are breaking the stereotypes, this is also encouraging others, and you are more and more presenting your abilities in this field. So that was very useful to learn and to kind of have more opportunities for females about the programming languages, about other tools and instruments, how they can present their kind of education, their abilities in this field. On the other side, we have to give them opportunities of doing, like really making the changes in this field. So we have to present their results as well, in order them to feel encouraged and in order them to execute what they have learned. So this type of opportunities have to be more and more in Georgia, and through Gender Council, we are working intensively in order to, on the one hand, raise awareness about the gender issues, in order to have more female participation in wider economy. And on the other side, we are working about the salary gaps, which is a pretty big challenge, not only in Georgia, but also widely. On the other side, we have also the BTU, we have Innovation Agency and other key players who are putting lots of the efforts about the education and dedicating the programs for females, which is very useful instrument in order to have better result and better statistics in this field. On the other side, quota, which is a good instrument for further encouraging female leaders, is very useful. And in Georgian parliament, we are proud that we're having in every 4 we have 1 female member of parliament, which is a result of the successful reform done for quotas and quoting the females. And also similar type of quota instrument can be integrated in, for instance, grant programs. And we also have seen in some of the programs in Enterprise Georgia when they are giving additional scores for female applicants, right? So this type of incentives are further promoting female participation in their economic activities, which is at the end of the day is bringing us to the best result. So I trust that with joint efforts, both representatives of gender, we will be able to bring Georgia, our country, into a higher level and have way better promoted economy and shared prosperity.
First of all, I want to thank you for this brilliant opportunity to participate in this project, but I should start with the most unequivocal fact that globally women hold only a quarter of all tech jobs. And despite women make up almost half of the total workforce, they held only 25% of all the jobs in the tech industry. What's the worst? This number is lower than the percentage of tech jobs held by women back in the 1980s. But why it's necessary to achieve gender balance generally and in tech as well? Equity, diversity, and inclusion are critical for the success of every industry, business sector, economy, and society as a whole. With the adverse effects the global pandemic has had on women's careers, according to McKinsey, women's jobs are approximately 2 times more vulnerable to this crisis than men's jobs. But as many studies and research reveal, diversity is critical for every single field and tech as well. It enables companies to create better and safer products that takes everyone into consideration and not just only section of society. Diverse companies perform better, hire better talent, have more engaged employees, and retain workers better than the companies that do not focus on diversity and inclusion. But women still remain underrepresented in IT roles widely. It's interesting what are the challenges women face in finding equal footing in a career in IT. But there are several facts that makes women avoid entering STEM field, and below I will discuss each of them separately. For example, these are education gap on school level, degree gap, the retention gap, workplace culture gap, and employment gap. And to start this education gap on school level, nowadays more girls are in schools than ever before, but they do not always have the same opportunities as boys to complete the benefit from an education of their choice. Too many girls and women are held back by biases, stereotypes, social norms, and expectations influencing the quality of the education they receive and subjects they study. They are particularly underrepresented in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, and consequently in STEM careers. So that is why it has the critical significance that elementary and mid schools to promote awareness-raising campaigns for little girls to engage in STEM. After school level, there is a degree gap. And about degree gap, I wanted to mention that according to the data from the National Science Foundation, more women than ever are earning STEM degrees. They are catching up to men in earning bachelor's degree in science and engineering subjects. But when you isolate by field of study, women earn only 90% of computer science degrees at the bachelor's level. As for the retention gap, after earning diploma, the real work begins, and there, the numbers for women intake are perhaps even more troubling. Despite the fact that the growth of STEM jobs has outpaced the growth of overall employment, growing 79% since 1990s, women are still missing out on this boom, and only 38% of women who majored in computer science are working in the field. As for the workplace culture gap and employment gap, according to the UNESCO groundbreaking report, only 35% of STEM students in higher education globally are women, and differences are observed within STEM disciplines. For example, only 3% of female students in higher education choose information and communication technology studies. This gender disparity is alarming. Especially as STEM careers are often referred to as the jobs of the future, driving innovation, social well-being, inclusive growth, and sustainable development as a whole. As the research and studies revealed, some women had experienced gender discrimination at work. Their gender made it harder to succeed at work or face sexual harassment in their workplace. To summarize all above mentioned, it is an imperative to empower girls and women to enter STEM fields. This requires holistic and integrated responses that each across sectors and engage girls and women are identifying solutions to present challenges. So to avoid the lack of women in STEM, there are several steps that should be followed. For example, enhance awareness of the definition and importance of STEM education among little girls, strengthen the capacity of countries to deliver gender-responsive STEM education, including through teacher training, educational contents, and pedagogy for every age of pupils and students. Another step is also encourage the participation, achievement, and continuation of girls and women in STEM education and careers to reduce the gender gap in STEM professions. So according to the all above mentioned activities, I would like to motivate girls all over the world and say that it was never been so easy to hold future professions like today is. So use this brilliant opportunity and enter STEM. As American technology executive and CEO of Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg declares, if you are offered a seat on a rocket ship, don't ask what seat, just get on. So go ahead, girls.
Good afternoon. My name is Georgi Tuskaya. I'm the commercial director of one of the largest ICT company in Georgia called Orient Logic. Orient Logic is represented on Georgian market more than 25 years from 1995. And, and today we had to talk about the women in technology in Georgia. Of course, technology is still remaining the main world, and in technology, not only in Georgia, but in all around the world, men are still dominating. But I think today's situation is more than better than it was 5 years ago, because many women are empowered and works in IT today. The percentage is more than it was 5 years ago. The major sectors where women are mostly represented, I think it is the cybersecurity business, the artificial intelligence, and informational technology infrastructure business. But of course, the number corresponding to the men percentage in technology is still 90 to 10%. And why it is very important to empower women to work in technology, I think there are three major reasons of that. The first is that the diversity generates more revenue. compared to their peers, high gender diversity companies deliver slightly better returns, and they have outperformed on average less diverse companies over the past 5 years. And when you have the diversity in your business, of course, there are many alternative viewpoints where you can prepare better and you can generate more business. That's why I think women thinks really differently. And when you have more women in your business and in technology, of course, you can generate more interesting ideas how you can develop your business. And I think it's very valuable. The third reason, I think it is the role models, because we have less role models in Georgia, and I think it had to be increased. But of course, it's better than it was in past. For example, the executive and director of the most well-known technology university in Georgia is women. The best startup in the history, the founder of the best startup in history of Georgian technology business, one of the founder is also women. I'm talking about the Pulsar AI, Sopochko is there, who the company which has been acquired by the global leading USA company, Spinkar. And yes, but we need more role models in order to increase the desire in women to go to learn, to study the technology business and technology skills. Let's talk also about the roles itself. I think today there are more women in technical skill direction, such as the cybersecurity experts, such as developers. Developers also, the software developer businesses are increasing very much in these past years. And women in software development are representing very good. Their skills and their products that they are making is really appreciated. And also the managing part in technology business from the women's side. I think we have to work to increase the women in C-suite level, the amount of the women in the C-suite level, because it will gain more results according women empowerment in technology. I'll also talk about our attitude about this issue. We have encouraged women in our company, and we are trying to be diversity, to gain the diversity in this part of our business, because we have many women software developers. Our technical engineer are from cybersecurity are also women, mostly. And we are trying to reach that, but what's the problem? We are not doing this job very good, is that there are less people working in this field in Georgia, because less women are interested in technology. So we together have to try to increase their interest and desire to learn the technology skills and technology business. I think this is the major reasons and major goals we have to deliver to our colleagues women.
Keeping the momentum of Georgia's strong reform process and robust growth rates, the government of Georgia follows the path of sustainable development, where the adoption of new ideas, technologies, and products improve knowledge diffusion across sectors, startups internationalization, as well as equal human capital development, what gives the country the edge it needs to transform into a modern, knowledge-based economy. Georgia started building the innovation ecosystem since 2014 and had a clear mandate towards sustainable industrial development to stimulate innovation, modern technologies and R&D, facilitate commercialization and usage of R&D, support innovative startups and their competitive growth, facilitate cooperation between representatives of scientists and businesses. Women empowerment is one of the priorities of Georgia's innovation ecosystem, encouraging femtech sector development, conducting events with dedicated keynote speakers, organizing STEM boot camps, accelerating women tech startup founders. Never has it been more vital to improve the role of women and girls using, studying, and working in digital technology. Nevertheless, around the world, women are underrepresented in the ICT employment sector. Without special interventions, women's limited participation in STEM will disadvantage them in the growing number of technological fields. According to the new study of the UN Women in Georgia, ICT sector development and integration into the global economy is a cornerstone of Georgia's social and economic development. However, just 12% of women in Georgia are employed in science, technology, and engineering related careers. Thus, we have a strong will to scale up our skills development activities. We used to have the training programs for ICT and non-ICT specialists, with particular attention on women participation in them. The courses culminate in exams to obtain internationally recognized certifications. 3,000 individual trainees are to be trained through the program. The government of Georgia finances both training and certification exams, and it is available for free for all Georgian citizens. The crucial part of an ecosystem and for risky, innovative businesses is access to finance. The government has mobilized state funding for the riskiest stages for startups. Through small grants program, the startups are able to transform their ideas into prototypes. In the period of 2015-2020, among the 441 small grants beneficiaries, there were 96 women. In order to stimulate entrepreneurial and innovative solutions, Matching Grants program is running, promoting startups and their globally scalable innovative projects. In 2018 to 2020, among the Matching Grants program 95 winners, there were 33 women founders and co-founders. Georgia's Innovation and Technology Agency has additional screening programs during the popular activities such as matching grants, start business with fabrication laboratory for identifying IDP and women and other vulnerable groups. We, with the financial assistance of the European Union and technical assistance from the World Bank, ran the project titled Technology Transfer Pilot Program to increase the capacity to test and demonstrate the feasibility of technology transfer in Georgia. We have received 73 applications from various research universities and have selected 9 for further commercialization support. There were 2 women scientists among them. We want to ensure sustainability and support those projects aiming to tackle challenges for green jobs creation and sustainable innovative scientific activities. Let me highlight that technology as a game changer for women and girls can make a reality where gender equality is well realized. We will continue to support STEM enrichment programs and encourage gender-sensitive STEM learning environments, facilitate partnerships between startups and ICT companies, and technology training programs to offer women and girls real-world experiences, extend teacher training in digital literacy, and enhance the awareness-raising activities in rural areas. Equal representations of women in all spheres and at all levels of professional life will help counter discriminatory social norms and stereotypes that significantly hamper societal development. We express readiness to deepen our resolve, increase our efforts towards women's involvement in technology, and define new steps to approach sustainable development.
Nowadays, technologies are one of the fastest developing and demanded industry in the labor market. However, women's participation in this field is very low in Georgia. The phenomenon of gender bias can develop at young age. In fact, it all starts in families and schools when young girls are not encouraged to pursue STEM subjects. From my personal experience, I can say that the girls who studied technical subjects very well, under the influence of their families and the environment in general, refused to work in this field, and they chose more traditional professions. So what could be the ways to overcome the gender imbalance in tech? I think in the first place, awareness should be increased. Everyone of school age should be provided with information about the professions in this field and the opportunities they offer. I think it's also very important to have computer science as a subject at schools. I worked at this topic at university. Me and my team, we worked on developing the learning resources, which included video lessons and lectures. I think one of the main aspects to overcome the gender gap in this field is to set an example for each other. In particular, I mean that the women who work in the field of technology should give example to other girls and share their experiences with others. It might be done using podcasts, webinars, or maybe blogs. And the more such women exist, the sooner the myth about the capabilities of women will be shattered. I think that the trainings and this kind of programs are also very beneficial to overcome this problem. Many women who refuse to work in this field might change their minds after they graduate from universities as they get more information about this particular topic. So I think they must have a chance to pursue their goals and to explore the profession that they are interested in. So I think that every initiative in this regard, be it podcasts, webinars, training and retraining programs, are really beneficial and critically important to overcome this problem. One of these initiatives is Coding School for Women, which I attended. I must say that it really helped me to acquire new technical skills and to strengthen my knowledge. We have learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript, TypeScript, Angular, Firebase, Git, and many more. We also developed skills like critical thinking, problem solving, working independently, working in groups. And I think all of these are very, very important in a real work process. The process or the learning process itself was very interesting, and our trainer always encouraged us, and he was always on our side. So during this program, we have worked on very interesting projects. And I think this is a very good chance for women who are interested in technologies to master a completely new profession with no prior knowledge. Or if they have some knowledge, they can deepen it even more. So I think that these kind of projects are very, very beneficial. The most important thing is that at the end of the coding school, Business and Technology University helps participants to get their first job. It really helps because oftentimes it's very hard to get your first job without any prior work experience. So I definitely encourage girls to take part in this kind of initiatives. And I really want to thank the organizers of Coding School, and I hope that this project will continue for a long time to come. So thank you.
Involvement of women is just as important as participation of men in information technology, just like in any other field. Nowadays, there is more opportunity for everybody, regardless of sex, to develop equally in this area. It is clear that more and more people are interested in IT and find success in Georgia, and I think that is great. I have always been captivated by technical fields. I also loved studying mathematics during my school days, and currently I'm a student at Business and Technology University. It is my fourth academic year in the Faculty of Information Technology, where the end goal is to earn the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Informatics. I have been employed in web development for the last 3 years. However, my true interest lies in machine learning and deep learning. I took an artificial intelligence course in Coding School for Women project offered by my university. Also, I would like to mention here that both girls and boys were involved in this project. This course was quite intensive and not only limited to theoretical material. We discussed practical examples at each meeting. We analyzed different kinds of data sets and created models that were geared towards solving specific problems, and the mimics how AI is currently implemented in the real world as of now. Models trained on existing data that can make very accurate predictions given enough resources and good, careful modeling. It was a solid experience to get up and running, though of course, as in any other subject, any other field, independent work and research in machine learning and deep learning is of paramount importance, and therefore I look in many places to find sufficient material in order to become more proficient in the subject based on the knowledge and skills I gained from this AI course.